KABX 107.5 FM, Winterville, North Carolina.
Motivations with Glenn.
Good day, everyone. This is Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU, Winterville, North Carolina. Studio based in Greenville, North Carolina, which is our sister city, if you don't mind, right next door. So we'll have a part two of our continuing topic, U.S. currency and changes to what's going on with the U.S. currency. But we want to start with a document that my co-host Apostle Jacquelne Cullins researched. We're going to start with that document. Then I have two audio clips, but I would like to issue a disclaimer concerning the two audio clips. The Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacquelne Cullins Williams, do not endorse the information you might receive from the audio clip, nor does Awesome Radio, its parent company, Community Care Fellowship, or its underwriters. So we have no control over what's mentioned in the two audio clips. This is just for your information purposes. The one audio clip concerns the first and only African American bank in the United States. And the name of that bank, One United Bank. The other audio clip mentions CoinIn. CoinIn is an app, so you can scan your coins to find out the authenticity and value of the coin. And they mentioned a couple of different links and other apps, so you can scan your coins. And I did that because of our caller last week that calling about the 1935 coin that she had. We did some research on that as well. I have a document on that to share with our caller that called in last week. So if she's listening today, she might want to pay attention to when we get to the coin concerning the 1935 coin and jeweler's loop. What is the jeweler's loop used for? So ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome my co-host to the broadcast to get our first document started. Here's Apostle Jacquelne Cullins Williams.
Hey, Dr. Glenn, and to our listening audience on today. We are glad to be here again today. It is such a wonderful day. The wind is blowing just enough to keep it from being so hot, and I appreciate the wind today. I just wanted to say that we're glad, and we're glad to our listening audience that you are hanging on, that you're listening and tuning in on today to our continuation. We're talking about something that everybody likes and everybody needs and everybody uses as in some form or some way. We're talking about money on today. And that's an exciting topic. You know, sometimes people, Dr. Glenn, they get excited when you start talking about money, especially if it's their money, you know?
Yeah, and this is why I included the Social Security documents and the IRS. But just let me explain something about the Social Security. So Social Security is considering going digital as well. And I think this is an awful mistake. And they're gonna make the your social security card, your social security number digital. I think that's a terrible mistake.
Why would you think that it's a mistake,
The
Dr.
last thing you want somebody to have possession of is your social security number.
Oh yes, that is true. You know, a lot of people they do absolutely use the social security number because it's so personal to do particular crimes and different things. You know, Dr. Glenn,
And your social security number is used for multiple things, which is something they should get away from.
yes.
Which is why doctors' offices and hospitals, they're not allowed to ask for your social security number. So you don't necessarily have to give your social security number to a hospital, doctor's office, things of that nature. What are they going to use it for? They
Yes.
have no use for it.
Well, and Dr. Glenn, you are absolutely right. They shouldn't use it for certain things. I'm remembering, and I know we don't want to get too far off subject, but I'm just going to
Yeah.
tell you this one thing. I remember years ago, someone used they used my social security number, and this is because they had the social security number is why I couldn't refute it. And they ordered cable. They lived in my neighborhood now, and they ordered cable in my name. I already had cable at my house. So there was no need for me to order another cable, but the box that they ordered came to my address. So I called, and got on the people about it. What is this box doing? From a different cable company, and they sent it to my address by accident. And so I called them, I refuted it. I was like, look, I haven't ordered this as cable, and it's here at my address. And they says, well, it was ordered on the internet and ordered with your social security number, but it was ordered by someone in my neighborhood. And I said, wow, that so they wouldn't. And I mean, I went through all the process of telling them that this didn't belong to me, that I did not order this. I even had it sent back to them. Do you know they repackaged it and sent it back out to the thieves? Because they because they had my social security number. They said because, and I'm thinking, I bought the house in that neighborhood. My social security number was surely it was at the rental at the office, where we bought the house from. Surely the realtor, could have had it, and many other people could have had access to it, but they lived in my neighborhood. Do you know, Dr. Glenn, that those people paid for that cable for like several years and then left the last bill in my name?
Ain't that something?
And it was on my credit. It was $200 and some,
Yeah.
the last bill they left.
And as you start to do your commentary, you did say I wouldn't want to get off the subject, but that is a valuable, good information. The last thing I'll make mention about that, because we're going to save the Social Security and IRS documents for another time. But along with that, which is one of the reasons why the military stopped using the last four digits of your Social Security number. In the military, they always refer to a service member by the last four digits of their Social Security number, which they discontinue because those last four numbers says a lot about you that you can research. And your Social Security number in general, when they issue that number, the first three letters is for a particular area, so on and so forth. That's why now, when a child is born, they automatically get their Social Security number.
And you are absolutely right about that. I remember that. I'm a ex-military. I was an ex-military wife. So I knew my soldiers, my ex-husbands, Social Security number when I didn't even know my own.
Yeah.
And to this day, I know his Social Security number because it was so pounded into you that everything that you did concerning the military was that number was there,
That's right.
including going to the
Yeah.
doctor, going doctor's visits, the hospital, anything that was associated with benefits. It had that number.
It had the number, and then if not, the entire Social Security number, at least the last four. All you had to tell them was the last four digits of your Social Security number. Boom, all your information popped up. I always had a problem then about all that. How could you tell all this stuff about me with the last four? They said, well, then I was a private. Private Johnson, don't worry about it. Believe me, I'm not worried. I want to know how you know.
Well, that thing was, I mean, it's very powerful. So what now are they using concerning the military, Dr. Glenn, if they're no longer using the Social Security number?
Well, I think now, if I'm not mistaken, they have an ID card. On the ID card is now the chip. They can place the chip in the reader, and find out everything they need to know.
Okay, with the ID now outside of using the social. But I know what you're talking about because, like I said, I was the ex-military wife, and it was gold. I knew his when I didn't know mine, and that tells you something how much we had to use it. So, Dr. Glenn, we're gonna move on and get back. Oh, Dr. Glenn, you have
Yeah,
something?
you just mentioned the word gold. That reminds me, we also have a document on Fort Knox. It is their gold at Fort Knox. Previously, it was said that absolutely not. People are under the impression there's a lot of gold stored at Fort Knox. Fort Knox itself has another name. It's called the Bullion Depository. That is now Fort Knox. And they do have gold at the Bullion Depository. And a listener called me on my cell phone, asked me if we do research on the document we have there. You'll see it says question, and it concerns can the government confiscate any gold from your things of that nature during wartime? The answer to that question was yes, but we'll get to those documents once we get to them. We have 30 seconds to go before the first break. Here's Apostle.
Yes. Hey, if you want to call in today and have something to say on this particular broadcast, you can call in today. That phone number is 252-756-2008. Call in and we'll put you live on the air. We've had a couple of callers this morning already, but we want to hear from you while we're on the air. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, and we are on Awesome Radio. We'll be right back in a moment.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
Health Pro is a licensed home care organization and a trusted provider of in-home care services with skilled nursing and personal care services. When your elderly parents live alone, there are many things that can be done to make general housekeeping and personal care easier. We are local and can be reached at 252-364-8114. We are located at 408 West Arlington Boulevard, Suite 101C, Greenville. At Health Pro, our services provide a relief for the aging and the disabled population who prefer to recover in the comfort of their homes. Our services expand beyond the normal, and we are currently serving 17 counties in eastern North Carolina. Veteran personal care services, companion care, sitter care, respite care, private pay home care, pediatric, adolescent personal care services are just a few of the many services we offer. Visit our website to see all of the services we offer, healthpronc.com. That's healthpronc.com. Health Pro, 408 West Arlington Boulevard, Suite 101C, Greenville, 252-364-8114. That's 252-364-8114. Health Pro, a local, trusted, leading provider of in-home care services.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Killer Thigpen's mother from Awesome Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacquelne Cullins Williams. We are in our second segment of the broadcast. So we said we wasn't gonna we were gonna stick to the program and not go off script, but we did a little bit. So I'm gonna ask Apostle, would she go back to the document that she researched?
All right, Dr. Glenn, let's get busy. And I had asked, or I brought a document that had a few interesting facts that I felt like we could look at concerning money. And it was about how money is produced. I remember just a week or so ago, I had some young people ask me, and it was one of those fake, we talked about that last week, those fake folded dollars or fake folded denominations of bills. And the particular kids, they asked me, they said, can we print this and print this off? I mean, it looked like a real $100 bill, but it wasn't. And they said, can we just print this off and start spending it? And I said to them, no. I said, because money has a different texture than regular paper. They just wanted me to just get it and print off, and like we could just, begin to spend $100 bills like that. So I thought it was very interesting to have some facts to tell them. And so one of the things that I wanted to, on this particular, and that I found out when we were looking at this particular document or about printing money, I wanted to let you know that money is made of not just paper, but also made of cotton and linen. There are fibers that are put inside of money.
That's right.
So that's why the texture is not like regular paper. It's not like the paper that you see out here and you're just going to be able to go buy a certain paper and you're going to be able to print money.
You can't do it.
It has something else that is put in it, and you cannot just duplicate that. It says here, it says the book stops here. How money is made, engraving and printing. Money is not only made from paper, but also cotton and linen. Currency production is not an easy or a simple task. So that's why it's so hard to duplicate and people, they can tell, the fake bills, even by the way that it feels. You're not going to just go and be able to duplicate that. And I mean, I don't know how to put cotton and linen into the paper.
Yeah. And I was gonna say that's why, as far as the texture of the paper money, you can see the threads in it. You can see the threads, which is how they're able to take that marker to mark it to see if it's real or not. That's what changed the color because of fibers in it.
So they're actually looking at the threads. I've seen them do it a million times, but I never knew what they were looking for when they were marking it with the marker. So they're looking for the threads that are actually in there that's woven into the money.
Yeah, because that once they put that marker in it, it would make that mark like a goldish color. If that mark was to show up black, they knew it was a counterfeit.
And it's always a light color. You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
When they strike on it, it's always a light color.
It's like
I have
a light
no
gold.
training.
It's like a light gold.
Yeah, I have no training on it because I've not cashiered, but I do know I've watched them do it, and I never knew what they were looking for. But I also knew that they were doing that whatever they were doing, it involved a light color mark on there.
And let me share this story with you briefly. How I knew about some of this stuff. Back in 98, I think it was, I went to a place that sold copiers, scanners, printers. I'm not going to mention the name of the establishment. So while I'm in there, and I was particularly interested in one printer that they had. It was a color copier, scanner, printer, so on and so forth. So I asked the salesman, I said, well, how's the ink on it? He said, let me show you. I'm like, what do you mean? He'll show me. He took out a $10 bill, scanned it, and when he came out, it came out looking just like a $10 bill. You couldn't tell the difference from the real $10 bill, the one he just scanned. I said, okay, I'll take it. When I got home, I scanned 5 20s just to see what it do. But I made one mistake. I didn't spend or anything. It was just for my own investigation. I messed around and told a family member about it. What does he do? He went right over there and bought one, came home, started making $100 bills. Where he messed up was him and another cousin of mine, they went to a local bar. They sat at the bar, giving the barmaid $100 bills all night. So they knew it came from him. He was the only one in there giving her $100 bills. A couple hours later after he got home, the Secret Service showed up at his door, took everything he had.
Wow.
He's still in jail from that. That happened in 98.
Wow, over a few $100s that they could have, my goodness. And then, I mean, I don't know that they still, the feel of it is still not the same.
Exactly.
And then not smart enough, not just spending 100, but spending hundreds and hundreds in the same place.
In the same place. But they knew it came from him because he was the only one there giving her a $100 bill. The reason why he was doing it, he would give her the 100. She would give him the change. So he gave her something fake in exchange for something real. The drinks they bought, plus getting the change back from the 100.
Right, but if you're doing it more than one time, usually if you're gonna get something to drink, it's not $100.
Yeah.
So you got to change back. You should have spent.
He could have spent it, but she didn't never put that in her mind. She just took the 100, kept giving him change.
That every time you came with $100 3 or 4 or 5 times, and you're getting the change back.
Not every time they came. This was all in one night, the same night sitting there.
Wow, that wasn't very smart. But people when they impulsively just do crimes or something, they don't always think it out because that
Yeah.
ideal just came all of a sudden. Let's print the money,
All right, but
and then now.
here's what made it bad for the bartender. She had to take all that money out of her pocket, pay the bar back. As far as my cousin, he paid for it by going to jail. He's still in prison for that.
Wow, I'm sure that was the very hefty sentence, behind making, false money. And there's a lot of people that do it. They're trying to beat the system and they're trying to, do it, but it's not worth it. It's not, especially over something you buying something that's a couple of $100. I could see the temptation being greater when you're getting 10,000 or you're getting hundreds of thousands, but not something that's a couple of $100. You could go to work and do that.
Let me tell you something. Crime don't pay. This is one reason why I used to make a joke about it all to everybody we knew. I see y'all know my cousin made so much money. He moved to a great gated community, federal prison.
Wow.
Now, that's a gated community you don't want to be in.
3 meals a day too. Not worth it, Dr. Glenn. But it says currency production is not an easy or simple task, but one that involves precision, highly trained, skilled craftspeople, specialized equipment, and a combination of traditional old world printing techniques merged with sophisticated cutting edge technology. And then it says down here that the U.S. currency paper is composed of 25% linen and 75% cotton with red and blue fibers distributed randomly throughout to make imitation more difficult. That's a lot. 25% of it is linen and 75% of it is cotton. How much is paper? Where's the paper in that? Dr. Glenn, it doesn't say.
Yeah.
That's a high percentage, of linen that is inside of the money.
Well, that's why. Yes, that's why it's a special paper, because the majority of it is linen. Linen and cotton, not just paper.
I just thought it was a very interesting fact that we would put out there today. So, people don't think they could just go pick up any kind of paper and think that you're going to be able to get away with printing money.
Yeah, now they have all kinds of other security features in the paper money, like the strip, all kinds of different stuff. However you hold it, so hologram, hold it up to the light, it changes the face on the money. All those different things. Apostle.
Hey, we're getting ready to go out on a break, and when we come back, we're going to have our first audio clip of the day. I hope you found those facts interesting about money and that it's made with linen and cotton. That's something that I didn't know. You learn something every day, and you're never too old to get some new facts in. Hey, you want to call in? The phone number is 252-756-2007. You can call and be live right here on the air with me and Dr. Glenn. And I would love for you to tell me if you knew that fact. This is Awesome Radio. Right back in a moment.
Hello, my name is Daniel out of Greenville. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
Does a student have the right at his college to hold a Bible study? Stay tuned. This is a great answer.
Today's legal case is from the files of the Christian Law Association. Here's attorney David Gibbs Jr.
Nathan, a university student, started a Bible study group on campus. The university initially tried to restrict the group's meeting times and locations, citing campus policies. Nathan somehow thought this isn't accurate. He sought assistance from the Christian Law Association, and our lawyers were able to help him. Our attorneys defended his right to hold Bible study on that campus. It's protected by the law. The university agreed to accommodate the group's meeting in available rooms, respecting Nathan's right to religious freedom expression. In America, on a college campus, a student has the right to have a Bible study. It's the law in America.
Get the legal support you need for the issue that you're facing. The Christian Law Association stands by to assist you with free legal support. Visit christianlaw.org. Again, christianlaw.org. Or call us directly at 888-252-1969. That's 888-252-1969. Thanks for joining us today.
Celebrating Juneteenth, Wednesday, June 18th, from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 252 Main Street, Winterville. It's Market on the Square in Winterville. Vendors, food trucks, games, music. Help Winterville celebrate Juneteenth on Wednesday, June 18th, 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 252 Main Street, Winterville. Visit the Winterville Chamber at wintervillechamber.com/MOTS. Market on the Square. We're going to have a great time at the Juneteenth celebration, Wednesday, June 18th at 252 Main Street from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Winterville. A slice of the good life.
We're back. You're listening to The Glenn Johnson Show. You can reach Glenn at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivation with Glenn and Apostle Jacquelne Cullins Williams. You here on Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. Apostle did mention we're going to go to our first audio clip. So without further ado, this is our first audio clip on try scanning your coins, followed by the document on scanning your coins. So I hope everybody stay tuned in, take a listen to this short audio clip, followed by the commentary we have in the document.
I started scanning my coins just for fun, but I was shocked to find one that was extremely rare and worth a fortune. Now, I check every coin I get. It's like a treasure hunt that actually pays off. Start scanning your coins. You never know when you'll uncover a rare gem.
Hey. All right, as he said, he started scanning his coins. It was amazed about what he found out. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's Apostle Jacquelne Cullins Williams with the document on scanning your coins, followed by a 1935 coin. And I think it mentioned something about how to get your coin. It was 1935, the different makes, with the one with the shield on it versus the one with the wheat. So different things like that. So hopefully our listener that called in last week about the 1935 coin, she will be able to get some additional information. Apostle.
Yes, and so I wanted to say, Dr. Glenn, just let our listening audience know that, you know, sometimes when you are talking about a certain things, just like we're talking about it on the radio or we have our phones present, you know, our phone will literally just kind of, it's listening to what we're saying, and you could be talking about a certain thing and then boom, you're scrolling on your phone and that thing is now up as an advertisement. And that's what I saw here with this particular talking about scanning the coins. I was just on doing something else on my phone and there was an advertisement about scanning an app to scan coins. So, you know, there are particular apps that you can download, and that way whenever you get a coin, if you're wondering about the value, you can just scan it. Scanning your coins with a dedicated app is a common way to identify, learn about, and even estimate the value of coins. And it has apps here like CoinSnap, Coinoscope, and Coin ID. Use AI to recognize coins based on images taken with your phone's camera.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Sometimes you can just take an image, upload it to the device or the app. It would recognize it and tell you more about the coin.
Yes, so you don't even have to worry about it. You don't have to do anything. You could just scan it with one of these particular apps. And I'm just looking at it. It might be a very valuable tool because, you know, I am one, particularly Dr. Glenn, I don't always carry around change. I'm just not dealing with it. And, you know, I might see something that have it in my pocket and it's valuable and I don't even know it. And that's what I want to say. Make sure you do go ahead and put it in. You find a penny. You know, there be sometimes you outside the grass, folks have thrown pennies and stuff in the grass, you know, start digging up something or working on a flower bed and there goes a penny that's down there in the ground.
You know, years ago, I know back in the 80s, there were all kinds of people walking around with metal detectors on the boardwalk. Because, you know, I live one block from the ocean, 1 block from our beach. You could always see people in there with the what I just say was again, What
It's
they
like a
got?
little scanner
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
handheld scanner, looking for metal detector.
Metal detector. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
And not only were they in the boardwalk on the sand and on the boardwalk, I also started seeing them at parks and stuff. Because not only were they just like looking for metal, they were looking for coins and anything of value that it might pick up. Then they would dig it up and they take it to have appraised. They made a fortune.
Yes, and Dr. Graham, in the past, people didn't always trust banks. Sometimes they'll put that money in an old jar and old one of them old jelly jars or fruit jars and bury it outside somewhere.
And since you mentioned that, people not trusting banks. There was a Marine who got pulled over by a Nevada state trooper. So that, of course, the Nevada state trooper, do you have anything I should be concerned about inside your vehicle? Do you have any drugs in your vehicle? No, sir, I don't have no drugs. I'm a United States Marine. Do you have any explosives? No, sir, I don't have no explosives. So he finally asked him, well, do you have any money in your vehicle? He said, yeah. He said, how much? He said, I got $200,000. He had just went to the bank, withdrew the money. He was on his way to California to give it to one of his daughters when the trooper stopped him. So the trooper got on his phone. He was like, the Marine was like, I wonder who he's calling. He was calling the DEA agent. The DEA agent came and confiscated the money. It's what they call adoptive seizure. Because once the DEA agent took control over it, now the DEA agency was obligated to give 80% to the arresting officer or arresting agency, who turned out to be the Nevada Highway Patrol. They was able to get 80% of this guy's money from an adoptive seizure. All the guy wasn't, didn't commit any kind of crime to even get pulled over. He had all the paperwork from the bank to indicate that it was his money that he just withdrew from the bank, but they confiscated it anyway. Took him 6 years to get his money back.
I was going to say, though, he should have been able to fight that, especially if he had the withdrawal slip and evidence that he had that money in the bank prior to that. Now, we know that sometimes when people are doing crimes that I particularly know or have a relative that they took, about $300,000 off one time. And I mean, this has been many years ago. And they confiscated it because there was no withdrawal from the bank. There was no proof of where this money came from. And they gave it to their drug task force.
Like I said, that's what they call adoptive seizure. I want to share one more thing with you. I have a friend, she lives outside of Philadelphia, and I can't think of the name of the town, but anyway, her mom says she's Hawaiian. Hawaiian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sir, her mom had inherited all this money. We talking about millions and millions of dollars. But her mother made a big mistake. One of her sons who was still living in Hawaii, she sent him $10,000. There's always been a long-term rule with the IRS. Once you make a transaction over $10,000, you are immediately reported to the IRS. So she sent him that check and got reported. She could have sent him $9,999, but that one penny took her to the $10,000 limit, and she was reported. All those millions of dollars she inherited, they took it all away.
Wow, my goodness. It seemed like that, too. They should have been able to fight that and get that money back.
Yeah, because they found out. Now, like I said, there's a friend of mine found out how her mother obtained that money because they found out she was the last surviving heir to this royal family in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, and that money could have been, I know if they fought, they could get it back. Now, sometimes like you're saying, they may have to struggle to get it back, and it may be a process, but don't let these people take your money, especially if you know that is your money. You have not done any crimes for it. Sometimes people let it go when it's a crime because it's getting so much publicity.
And that's what I was about to say. It took them a long time and a lot of aggravation to get it back. But she finally got it back because a lady came forward and said it was her who was the last heir to the throne. Now, like I said, she's 100% Hawaiian. a white lady, Caucasian lady came for it. So they knew it was something bogus.
Oh, well, that's where the fight is coming in because somebody else is trying to lay a
Somebody else
claim.
trying to get it in.
Yeah, so
But
that's what that is.
I was gonna save that too when we did the document on the IRS, but since you have mentioned that, that's why I put it up.
And we definitely can still look at that document, Dr. Glenn. It looks like we get ready to go out for another break here in just a moment. And we are going to, there were a couple of cliffhangers that we left in our last show that we need to answer when we come back. So I'm going to do at least one of them and talk about the shilling, because we mentioned that word, the shilling, and I needed to know what what I was talking about on the last show. So we're going to do that when we come back.
I know from what I was looking at, I didn't fail to print it out. I know it had a lot to do with the British currency and the shilling, but it's no longer in circulation. But if you was to find one, it is considered extremely rare.
Yes, and from the old movies that we used to see. So we're getting ready to go on a break. We'll be right back in a moment. This is Awesome Radio.
Keep it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show.
With a call to discipleship, this is KP Yohannan with your GFA Minute.
You hear, O Lord, the desire of the afflicted. You encourage them, and you listen to their cry, defending the fatherless and the oppressed, in order that man who is of the earth may terrify no more. Psalm 10, 17 through 18. May we pray this prayer and do all we can to rescue the perishing and bring hope to the hopeless.
Make a difference in a lost world. Get your free copy of KP's book, Revolution in World Missions, at gfaminute.org. gfaminute.org.
You're listening to Awesome Radio, WECU, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM. Christian media with the spirit of excellence.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. We have reached our final 20 minutes of today's broadcast. I know Apostle want to get to some things, but Apostle, if you don't mind, I would like to play this one audio clip on One United Bank, so I can shut down this computer and you can continue with your commentary.
Hey everybody, this is me, Lunell, the original bad girl of comedy. Trivia question. What is America's largest black-owned bank? I'll give you a minute. It's a shame that we have to take a minute and we don't know right off the top of our head. It is One United Bank. One United Bank, yes, is the largest black-owned bank institution in America. Okay, now why do we want to keep giving when we should be investing in our own, taking ownership of our own, helping our own for ourselves, okay? So, I don't know about you, but I'm going to take some of my money and put it in One United Bank.
Okay, that was a brief audio clip on One United Bank. I'm going to do further research before the next broadcast, and maybe I'll consider investing some money in One United Bank. But I got to do a little bit more research. So here's Apostle John Cullins. Apostle, if you don't mind, can we go to that 1935 coin? And then whatever else you got on the, I know you want to mention shilling and all kinds of other stuff. So let's get to that.
The 1935 coin, and we're looking up this particular coin or mentioning it because of a caller that called in and told us that they had a 1935 coin and that they wanted to know the value of it. So we've given some resources here as to what you can look for or how you can actually take your money and see the value of your, independently by using apps. And it says the 1935 peace dollar, Washington quarter. So I'm not sure. I think they said it was a penny, Dr. Glenn.
Yes.
They had a penny. So not a quarter, but it was a penny. And so the 1935 Lincoln penny, in circulated condition, these pennies are typically worth 15 cents. Dr. Glenn, that's not the jackpot we were hoping for.
But if you keep reading, he really mentioned some other coins, a pickle, tickle, and a penny, with the wheat on the back. I think they said it goes up towards to $100 or something.
Yes, so it says, however, some errors on varieties can increase the value, potentially reaching $1 to $5 for uncirculated examples or more for rare varieties, according to J.M. Bullion. And so let's look here, Dr. Glenn. I'm looking for the one that said it could be 100. I don't
I know
really
it's on
see
there,
that.
one there, but one of them coins, it does mention upwards of $100, $200.
Yeah, so it's talking about ones that have damage or errors on it, I think. It says the overall demand for a particular coin type or date can also influence its price. I'm going to look, maybe it's on the back sheet, and I have missed it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Dr. Glenn, 1935, Lincoln wheat cent. So this makes it a little different because it has that wheat thing around it.
Yeah.
Circulated, the value is primarily based on the metal content. Circulated, the value increases significantly with higher grades. So it says here that in good condition can be worth 15 cents, while extremely fine can be worth up to $2. So Dr. Glenn, I'm missing the hundreds here.
Up to 2,000.
Up to $2.
Oh,
Not 2,000, $2.
well, that's not bad for a penny.
Yeah, I see dollars and different things, you know, from that year, and they are worth more. So, I mean, one of them up to 1,800. But those particular pennies, even the wheat pennies, the value, the highest value may be only $2, 15 cents to $2. So I'm sorry to our caller. I was jumping around for you, and I was anxious for you to see that particular year had a high value on it, but it seems like it doesn't. Go ahead and recheck that, especially with one of the coin apps, or just Google it online and it will tell you. And I had looked it up already before coming back here for this particular broadcast, and I saw that it did have a low value.
Yeah, not only that, depending on the coin itself, maybe a collector might find it to their satisfaction at an auction, which might pay a considerable amount more money.
Oh yeah, if those coins have a high value at the auction, they really bring in a lot more money. Sometimes it's better to let somebody else handle it and you be able to get the benefits from it. So we want to talk about the shilling, which is something that we have heard of before, and it was so familiar when we talk about the shilling. I think it's because Dr. Glenn is so familiar because of the old movies.
Yeah.
When they would talk, you know, the old black and white movies, they would talk about a shilling. And I think even, I want to say, remember the movie about Scrooge? I think on that movie, they were talking about a shilling. You know, the Christmas movie about Scrooge. Oh,
Yeah.
So the shilling is a former base unit of currency. So it's no longer in production. It's something that they used in the past, and it said in various European countries. It said the name meant cutting or slice, and it was also used as a unit of measure for volume and weight. So they
That's
used to use it as weight. That name, the shilling, was used to measure volume and weight. So that's why it sounded so familiar. And so now we have that definition. I'm glad, Dr. Glenn, I don't like to leave things hanging, and we not go back and address some things that we said that we would.
Yeah.
Also wanted to, a question that I asked on the air in the last broadcast, and I want to make sure we get to this one before we end our broadcast on today. And I asked if, and I remember, I don't know if I was a little girl and somebody told me, a teen or something, but I had heard somewhere that if you robbed a bank and you kept the money for a certain amount of time, that you were able to keep it. Well, I think there may be a certain degree of truth to that, depending on what state you're in. A certain degree, but not all the way. It's not all the way true. So Dr. Glenn, he has a document here that says finding money on the expressway. Yeah. What I wanted to, I think what the person, and maybe I just gotten it confused, but as I looked up a few things about robbing banks, there are statute of limitations. that if you're not convicted or charged with it within 5 years, then they can't do it. Or
right.
3 to 6 years for some of it. So that may be why I was getting that you could keep the money.
Yeah, you can't keep it, but once the statute of limitation run out, then there's nothing nobody can do. So, in one instance, that is a way to keep the money.
Yeah, so you can't keep it if the statute, they can't come back. How they going to convict you of it? And what are they going to do? Are they going to try to confiscate money? They can't confiscate the money and take it back on a crime that they never charged you with.
Yeah, and plus, the law at the time of the crime was committed might have changed, so they can't go back and institute the same charge because the charge has changed.
And we've all seen movies where somebody hid the money and then years later they came back to get it. That's what that's based on, is the statute of limitations, knowing that they could walk away and they could keep it.
Yeah, because they're waiting for the statute of limitations to run out.
And then they go back, get the money, and they're doing
Yeah, that's right. There's nothing nobody can do.
Well, we don't want to make it sound like we're in agreement with anybody committing a crime, but I just thought, and I remember somebody told me that, and I had to address that. So we want to talk about finding money on the expressway in North Carolina. I think we were talking about, Dr. Glenn, if like one of the armored cars or whatever that has the money, the companies that are transporting money, if that money starts blowing out the back door, can you keep that money? Is it yours to keep? So we were looking at a few different scenarios here. There were people I know being filmed on one particular one where they were going to be prosecuted because they had taken that money that they found on the side of the road, you know, that had blown out of the back of the armored car.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to go out on, I think this is our last break, Dr. Glenn.
Yep, this is the last break.
This is our last break. And so we want you to come back and let's hear about if you find money on the expressway in North Carolina. I'm curious to know, I need to know, and I need to know my facts about this particular thing.
That's right, because I'm sure if you find it, you're going to keep it. And I don't advise that. Anyway, we'll be back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM. See you in a moment.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached our final 10 minutes of today's broadcast. So after this 10 minutes, we will conclude today's broadcast. I'm going to ask the Apostle, will she pick back up where she just left off?
Yes, and Dr. Glenn, I heard what you said there before you finished that last statement. He said, if you find it, you're going to keep it. I might get quiet on you. I might get quiet for a few minutes, you know, while I think about what to do with it.
You're going to plead the fifth.
I'm going to get quiet and, you know, I got to seek and say, because I just feel like if you find money, you didn't rob anybody. The money found you. You didn't find the money.
I like to invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege.
So, but we know that, you know, you can be definitely against the law if you are to keep. And it says here what you should do. This is, and I'm going to tell you what you should do. I'm not saying or telling you that this is what I would do. I'm just telling you that this is what you should do.
This is what you should do.
This is what you
according
should
to
do.
the law.
According to the law. And I always follow the law. So, you know, I might struggle with it a minute and look at it for a while. And then I'll always do the right thing. So
I know you're going to do the right thing because you're an apostle.
always
you are
do the right
obligated.
thing.
You're obligated under the eyes of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to do the right thing.
That's right. But I'm still flesh and blood, and it doesn't mean that I don't get tempted by things. It doesn't mean that it doesn't take me a minute to wrestle with things. It takes me a few seconds sometime to get it together.
I know you're going to do the admirable thing. I know you're going to do the right thing.
But I always do the admirable thing. And I don't know that I didn't tell you, and I may have told you this a few weeks ago before I finished going to this document, that, you know, we just had $250,000 put into our bank account by accident.
Really?
Yes. And we sent it back, called the bank, and gave the money back.
That's right.
Every dime. I'm not going to jail over nobody's money. That money, we knew it didn't belong to us. It was put there by accident. And, you know, these people could come after you. You can enjoy that pleasure for a few minutes, but the next thing you know, you are in jail over something that didn't belong to you.
Thank God I don't have to send you no food package.
That's right. Gave it back, Dr. Glenn. Called the bank, said, look, there's a mistake. I mean, and it's something you wake up and one day you got $10 and the next day you wake up and you got over $500,000 in your account that somebody deposited there. Don't take that. I'm telling you. And then, I mean, I know, Dr. Glenn, I could have did some stuff. There's some things that I could have done with that amount of money.
Well,
vacation and running. Oh my goodness.
I would have woke up and thought Wells Fargo gave me my money back. That's been missing.
Well, we thought that too. Well, somebody just done deposit some things that's waiting. You know, I've been declaring that money's coming, and maybe that was the money that came.
Maybe that was the money supposed to go. Maybe that was the money supposed to go to my account.
Well, I'm just telling you, whoever it was, they went on and got it, because I'm not playing it. I'm not playing with my life, and I don't want to. Jail is not my portion. Prison is not my portion. I'm not going down over something that I could work for.
That's right.
No.
Something that you do, you could avoid it.
And so it says here, report the found money to law enforcement. So you need to call them and tell them that you found that money, especially if you found it out on the highway, and it will allow the owner a chance to claim it. And I know it doesn't feel good. I have to say this, Dr. Glenn, it doesn't feel good doing the right thing all the time. But in the end, to be able to sleep at night, know you've robbed no man, you've took nothing from it, you don't have to worry about anything coming back on you when you do the right thing.
And I hate to say this, but I know there's some people out there going to think, well, why should I turn it over to the police when they're just going to go through it and keep it for themselves? That's the way some people think.
Well, and it's the truth. They might just do that, but that's the chance that you take. And then once it's out of your hands, you let it go and sleep at night and say, you know, it's off me. I've done the right thing.
Well, I'll tell you this. It happened in Philadelphia, maybe a couple years before I moved here. An armored car going down the highway near King of Prussia. The back doors flew open. All the bags of money went over on the shoulder of the road. Cars behind him were stopping to pick it up. One guy picked up a couple of satchels, kept on going. He called him and told him he had it. He said, no, I don't feel I should turn it in. I don't think he ever turned it in.
Wow. I could see, you know, the temptation can be great there, but I'm just telling you, I might wrestle with it for a second, but I'm going to do what's right.
We have 4 minutes remaining for today's broadcast. You want to go to the part?
It says if the owner make a reasonable effort to find the owner, this could involve asking around the area where you found the money if it's safe to do so. And if the owner is not found, the owner isn't located after a certain period of time, some states, including potentially North Carolina, may allow you to keep the money.
That's right. Now, with that being said, we have about 4 minutes to go. You want to go to the second page where it says the spiritual aspect of it.
Wait, it said that I have to read this. The theft of property less than $1,000 is a misdemeanor. Okay, that's under $1,000.
Well, yeah, because any crime, it depends on the amount involved, which formulates the sentencing and so on and so forth.
Okay.
It depends on the amount of the money.
Well, you still don't want that on your record, no matter what. No matter how much it is, don't go down for that. So did you want me to read, Dr. Glenn, what is the spiritual meaning?
Yeah.
What is the spiritual meaning of finding money? Abundance and prosperity. Many people view finding coins as a sign of good luck and a reminder that abundance is on its way. It can symbolize financial gain or unexpected blessings in your life.
Yeah, but when it said that, I was thinking about where it says that our Christian brothers and sisters, any of our religious brothers and sisters, and because we believe in God and Jesus Christ, we don't actually believe in luck or shouldn't believe in luck.
That's right. And that's what you mean how they say, find a penny, pick it up all the day, you'll have good luck. Well, what if somebody, I'm going to drop something in your spirit today because, you know, I'm more on the spiritual basis. What if somebody know that you are so hungry for money and know that you're going to pick up anything and you so miserly after a penny until they curse that penny, and now you done picked it up and put it in your pocket or picked it up and put it in your purse. You better pray over anything that you find and say, God bless this money, because I don't know who left it here and I don't know where it came from or what happened that this money is in my path, but I want it to be blessed. So you turn this thing that I found, if it's a curse, into a blessing. Bless anything that you come into.
And hopefully get in the right hands of the rightful owners.
The Bible says, what does the Bible say about money? And a lot of people say money is the root of all evil. But that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. If you're in love with money and all you are about is money, you'll do anything to get it. And that's the root of all evil. We need money. We're going to use money. It's a part of what we use to buy and take care of our family. It's a part of how we can be blessed is with money, not exclusively, because favor is better than money. But money is what we use, and we use in today's time. So money is not the root of all evil. The love of it, when you scheming, when you're robbing, when you're killing, when you'll do anything to get it, or even risk your own life or your own freedom over money, that is an issue. That's evil. That's the root of all evil.
When you place money above anything else in your life. Is that correct?
That's right. And money is, people are more important than money. You know, there's some people, they don't care anything about people, but they care more about money than they do with people. They don't care about how things affect others. They care about their own pocket and the bottom line.
Yeah, and that's a bad way to live. Ladies and gentlemen, we're winding out to our last 60 seconds. Apostle is going to take us out in the broadcast in the next 50 seconds.
Yes, be wise with your money. And I mean, we can talk and say some more things about that, but we hope that you enjoyed our broadcast on today about money. We're going to do another part, I believe, a part 3. Dr. Glenn, we have some more things to bring to you, but I know we've given you some good nuggets on today and some interesting things to go and research and also look at. If you want any of our documents, you can email Dr. Glenn and he will send them to you.
My email address, Glenn, G-L-E-N-N, Johnson Show at gmail.com. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. As Apostle mentioned, we'll be back with part 3 next week, which will be our final part on U.S. currency and money in the United States. Until then, God bless you all. Stay safe. God loves you. Amen.
Amen.